My family kicked me out during Christmas dinner. We've all decided you should leave and never come back, my sister said. I just smiled. Okay then. I guess you won't be needing this. Then I tore up an envelope and walked out. When they saw what I'd destroyed, they started screaming. Technically, I didn't even get to finish my meal. There was still mashed potato on my plate, and I'm pretty sure Derek, my sister's boyfriend who lives with us now and treats the dining table like a food court, was halfway through a second helping when it happened. My fork was midair. Eliza had just finished some long-winded story about how she saved Christmas by booking a last-minute replacement turkey, even though I was the one who brined it, prepped it, and roasted the damn thing. And then she dropped it. The line, like she'd been waiting all evening for the right moment to toss the grenade. We've all decided you should leave, she said, sipping wine like she was on an episode of Real Housewives of Passive-Aggressive Suburbs. And not come back. Just like that. One sentence. Well rehearsed. I blinked. Once. Twice. My mom cleared her throat but didn't speak. My dad didn't even look up. Derek suddenly looked very interested in his gravy, like it was the most fascinating substance on earth. So I asked calmly, "What?" And Eliza repeated it, slower this time. Like I was slow. We've all decided. It's time you moved out. For good. No one corrected her. No one said, "Hold on, that's not what we talked about." Because they had talked about it. All of them. Without me. I guess family meetings don't require the full cast anymore. I looked at each of them in turn. My mom, twisting her napkin. My dad cutting food he wasn't eating. Eliza, smug as hell in a white knit sweater that would have looked cozy if it didn't belong to the villain. And Derek, sweet, useless Derek, chewing like someone trying to disappear behind a dinner roll. Something in my chest cracked. But instead of falling apart, I reached into the inside pocket of my hoodie. I'd brought it in right before dinner, almost forgot it upstairs. Stupid, really. I had planned to wait until after dessert. I had rehearsed a little speech in my head, something casual but heartfelt. But now, I pulled out the envelope. It was thick, cream-colored. I'd sealed it with a gold sticker like a total sap. I held it up. Okay then, I said, smiling so wide my face hurt. I guess you won't be needing this. And I tore it. There was a moment, a beat, where no one moved. Just the sound of paper splitting. That soft, delicate tear that feels too quiet for what it means. Then I dropped it on the table. 2 perfect halves. Right on top of Derek's third roll. I walked around the table, grabbed my coat off the back of the chair, and started toward the stairs. It took about 4 seconds before Eliza shouted, "Wait! What was that?" But I didn't stop. I was already walking up the stairs, past the gallery wall of family photos I'm barely in, past the framed portrait in the hallway where I'm somehow blurry despite standing still. I started grabbing things. A backpack, my phone charger, toothbrush, socks. I didn't even fold my clothes, just shoved them into the bag in a panic sweep. Downstairs, I could hear voices rising. Eliza was panicking. My mom's voice kept saying something about timing, and couldn't she have waited? My dad finally spoke, I think. Or maybe it was Derek. Hard to tell. Half the time they all sound the same when they're scrambling to reverse a bad idea. I zipped the bag, slung it over my shoulder, and looked around my room one last time. The twin bed. The dent in the wall from when I tripped over my laundry basket. The bookshelf that still had my 7th grade spelling bee trophy on it, even though no one ever mentioned it again after Eliza won regionals the year after. I didn't say goodbye. I walked down the stairs slowly, taking in the noise, the realization starting to hit them. When I passed the dining room, I didn't stop. I didn't look at their faces. I didn't gloat. I just opened the door, stepped into the cold, and shut it behind me. They didn't come after me. Not at first. But they would. Eventually, they'd piece it together. They'd remember what today was supposed to be. They'd realize what I had been planning, what they threw away. It wasn't just a letter. It was something that could have changed everything. It's a weird thing, packing a bag in your own house like you're some kind of intruder. Worse when you realize no one stopped you. No one asked where you were going. They just let you go. It wasn't always like this. I mean, okay, maybe it kind of was. But I didn't notice how bad it was until I got older and realized that not everyone's childhood felt like living in someone else's highlight reel. Eliza was the golden child before she could even walk. It's like the sun shined a little harder on her side of the crib. People used to joke about it at family parties. "You'll have to watch out for this one," they'd say, tousling her hair while I sat nearby, unbothered and entirely unseen, like the family ficus. And to be fair, Eliza was charming. She had that thing, that glossy magazine ad energy that made grown-ups want to hand her things. Teachers loved her. Neighbors complimented her posture. She got awards for participating and trophies just for smiling. Meanwhile, I once got a laminated certificate that said "good effort" after a group project, and even then, I had to share it with 2 other kids. Our mom treated Eliza like a miniature version of herself, like some second draft she was finally getting right. They'd go shopping together, sit in the kitchen, and talk about woman things while I cleaned up after dinner. I once heard my mom say, "You're the only one who really understands me," to Eliza. I was 12. In the next room. Our dad mostly stayed out of it. I think he thought being neutral meant being absent. As long as the bills were paid and no one was crying, he figured everything was fine. And then there was Aunt Margaret. She wasn't actually anyone's aunt, not by blood. She was our mom's godmother, technically. But we all called her Aunt Margaret because it made things simpler, and also because calling her the family lottery ticket felt too obvious. She was old money, like actual old money. Big house, no kids, pearls before noon kind of old money. She lived alone, wore elegant clothes with pockets deep enough to hold both hands and a grudge, and never showed up without a perfectly wrapped gift and at least one sharp comment about someone's shoes. The family always said she had no one. No husband, no children, no siblings. Just us. And by us, they mostly meant Eliza. Eliza started visiting her when she was still in high school, weekend lunches, spa days. She'd come home with little boxes from Aunt Margaret, earrings, scarves, once even a tablet for studying. My mom encouraged it, of course, called it bonding, said Eliza was doing a good thing by keeping the poor woman company. I didn't go as often. Not because I wasn't invited, but because no one ever expected me to. I'd tag along once in a while, usually if Eliza was busy or Aunt Margaret asked specifically. We'd sit in her sunroom and talk about books, or weird news stories, or how her garden was being murdered by squirrels. I liked her. She didn't ask too many questions, and she never told me how to sit, or what to wear, or why I wasn't doing more with my life. She was cool. A little intimidating, but kind in her own way. When I turned 18, she gave me a fountain pen and said, "Every girl should have something beautiful that no one else touches." I still have it. Never used it. Anyway, you can probably guess where this is going. Aunt Margaret passed away a few months ago. Peacefully, in her sleep, according to the voicemail. Eliza was the one who got the call. I found out over group text. She'd been sick, apparently. Not that anyone told me, but the family wasn't devastated. Not really. They were polite about it, reserved. The way people are when they're sad about a delay, not a death, because everyone knew what came next. The will. They held it in Aunt Margaret's lawyer's office, a sleek little firm downtown with uncomfortable chairs and free mints. Eliza dressed like she was attending a brunch with royalty. My mom wore pearls. My dad wore a suit for the first time since my high school graduation. Derek was there too, which was bold considering he's not legally tied to anyone in this family except by shared leftovers. I wore jeans. We all sat there while some paralegal handed out bottled water, and the lawyer, a stiff man named Harland, opened a leather folder and cleared his throat like he was about to sing the national anthem. And then he read it. The will. Everything. The house, the accounts, the car, the jewelry, the investments. All of it went to me. Not split. Not shared. Just me. There was a silence in that room that I will remember until the day I die. Eliza blinked like she was glitching. My mom's mouth opened and didn't close. My dad made a sound I can only describe as a soft reboot, and Derek, bless his heart, said, "Wait, her?" Harlan didn't flinch, just turned the page and kept reading. The rest of it was standard stuff. Donations to a library, instructions for the burial, notes about the estate sale. But none of it mattered, not after that first page. Afterward, we stood in the parking lot in silence. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. I was still trying to figure out if it was a mistake. A cruel joke. A misprint. Eliza broke the silence first. She didn't look at me when she said it. "What did you do?" And I just stared at her. Because I didn't know. I didn't do anything. I hadn't tried. I hadn't schemed. I hadn't even imagined being included in that will, let alone inheriting everything. I felt stunned, and then guilty, and then weirdly ashamed. They stopped talking to me after that, stopped including me in conversations. I'd come downstairs and hear silence, walk into a room and feel the temperature drop 10 degrees. It was like I'd stolen something, like I was a thief living under their roof. So I decided to fix it. I started writing the letter, the one I planned to give them on Christmas, the one I sealed with a gold sticker and tucked into my hoodie before dinner, the one I tore up. I didn't decide to share the inheritance because I'm some saint. Let's get that straight. I wasn't trying to buy love or play peacekeeper or do the right thing like it was a math problem. Honestly, I think I just didn't want to be the reason they hated me, because even though I didn't ask for it, didn't compete, didn't lobby, didn't play the game, they made it pretty clear that me getting it was enough, that I was, in their eyes, the villain. And yeah, maybe part of me still wanted to believe there was some version of us that could be salvaged, that if I showed them I wasn't greedy, wasn't like them, they'd see me differently, that maybe, deep down, they still saw me as family. So I sat on my bed for 3 nights straight writing that letter, ran the numbers, figured out a breakdown that was fair, not equal, but generous. I kept a portion to myself. Aunt Margaret did choose me after all, but the rest I divided up cleanly, a lump sum for my parents to pay off their credit cards and fix the roof they'd been complaining about for years, a decent amount for Eliza, enough to feel like a win, not enough to fund another 5 years of online boutique drama, and even a slice for Derek, because I'm either charitable or stupid and still haven't figured out which. It wasn't just a letter. It was a way out. For all of us. I sealed it in a cream envelope, added a gold sticker because apparently I was still clinging to the illusion that this would be a moment, and slid it into the inside pocket of my hoodie. I was planning to hand it to them after dinner. No speech, no drama, just a quiet gesture. But the week leading up to Christmas, things shifted. At first it was subtle. Eliza started asking weirdly specific questions, what kind of interest rate the lawyer mentioned, how liquid the assets were, whether I'd talked to a financial person yet. She asked like someone asking about your new haircut when they're really just checking to see if they still look better than you. Then it got bolder. Mom cornered me while I was folding laundry and said, "I just think it's important to remember that Margaret never would have wanted her money to tear this family apart." I nodded and said, "That's why I've kept quiet about it." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Of course. But you'll be doing the right thing, won't you? The generous thing? And I said, sure, because I was going to. I already had. But that wasn't enough. Later that same night, I overheard Dad on the phone with someone, maybe his brother, maybe the neighbor he's weirdly close with, saying, "Yeah, Olivia's got it all, but we'll talk some sense into her. It's family. She won't keep it like it was a given, like not giving it to them would be an act of war." By Christmas Eve, Eliza was openly leaving tabs open on my laptop with links to luxury kitchen renovations and one of those awful white and gold couches she loves. Derek spent the morning suggesting they finally turn the guest room into a studio space, which was hilarious since A, it's not their house, and B, I currently live in the guest room. They were planning around me, around my money, around a life I hadn't agreed to be part of, and I still held on to that letter, still thought, maybe if I give them this, they'll stop looking at me like I'm some thief who cracked their safe. Then Christmas Day came. The table was set for 5. Eliza insisted on doing the centerpiece this year, something with fake cranberries and twine and a pine-scented candle that smelled like a Yankee Candle store exploded. I helped cook because no one else volunteered, and I can't watch someone overcook green beans without experiencing a physical reaction. My mom didn't say thank you, but she did say the carrots were a little soft. Dinner started tense. Not unusual. No one looked at me until they did. At some point, Eliza turned to me with a smile that felt like being handed a contract and told to sign. "So," she said, "have you thought about how you're going to use it?" "The money," she added, "for those playing dumb." I blinked. "I'm still thinking it through." She laughed. "Well, just remember who was there for her. Who kept her company all those years I said nothing." Mom chimed in. "It's not about us wanting anything, sweetie. But it would be hurtful if you didn't consider everything we've done for you." I was about to answer, still gently, still calmly, when Eliza hit the gas. "Honestly," she said, swirling her wine, "I don't even know how Aunt Margaret ended up giving it all to you." "You barely knew her." There it was, the thing they all believed but hadn't said out loud yet. "You think I did something?" I said slowly. No one answered. I reached into my pocket, felt the edge of the envelope. I had written that letter. I had planned this moment. I had come into this dinner still wanting peace, and they were ready to tear me apart over something I hadn't asked for, hadn't wanted really, until they made it clear I didn't deserve it. That's when Eliza said it. "We've all decided you should leave and never come back." Just like that. Like I was a roommate they'd voted out of a group lease. No one corrected her. No one defended me. I reached into my hoodie and pulled out the envelope, held it in front of me. They leaned forward like dogs waiting for a treat. I smiled. "Okay then," I said. "I guess you won't be needing this." And I tore it. Clean, quiet, deliberate. I watched Eliza's smile collapse in real time. I dropped the pieces on the table, stood, and walked toward the stairs. They were still blinking, still trying to compute what had just happened when I reached my room and started packing. Let them scream. Let them guess. They don't know what they lost, but they will. When I left the house, the cold hit my face like a slap, but it felt cleaner than anything that had just happened inside. I was halfway down the walkway when I heard the door fly open behind me. "Olivia!" Eliza's voice, sharp and urgent, like I'd just dropped something she owned. I suppose they've read the letter by now, the one I tore. They would have pieced it together eventually. I didn't stop walking. "Olivia, are you serious right now? You're actually leaving?" I reached the sidewalk before she caught up. She was barefoot, arms crossed over that gauzy top she wore like she was starring in some indie Christmas movie where the misunderstood influencer learns the true meaning of family. You don't have to do this, she panted, trying to sound reasonable now. We were just surprised. I turned to her, slowly. Surprised that I exist? Or surprised I didn't roll over and hand it all to you with a thank you card? Her face flickered. You didn't even earn it. There it was. You barely knew her, she added. We were the ones who visited, who took care of her, who waited for her to die so you could redecorate, I said flatly. Yeah. I know the porch light clicked on. Mom stepped out, coat thrown over her shoulders. Sweetheart, she called, voice trembling. We didn't mean what we said. Eliza was just speaking for all of you, I said, loud and clear. Mom made her way down the steps, a little slower now. Look, emotions were running high, she said, but don't throw your future away over some misunderstanding. I stared at her. My future? She didn't blink. You don't know how hard the world is. You'll need us. Families fight, but we come back together. I almost laughed. You told me to pack my things and never come back. That was before we knew. She stopped herself. Before you knew what? That I had already decided to be generous? That you'd just burned the bridge that was meant to carry you? I don't need a ride, I said. I have a friend down the street. You're really just going to walk away? Eliza said, hugging herself. Like you don't owe us even a conversation? I looked at her. You made it very clear I didn't owe you a place at the table. And with that, I turned and kept walking. I didn't stop until the corner. They didn't follow. Not that night. 2 days later, they turned to extended family. The cousins, the uncles, the godmother I hadn't seen since middle school, but who now had a lot to say about respect and family obligations. Texts started rolling in, some vague. Hope you're doing okay. Heard there was some confusion, some not. You should be ashamed. Your parents sacrificed so much for you. One message from a second cousin even quoted scripture. She spelled my name wrong. I ignored all of it. My friend Ava let me crash on her couch longer than I meant to. I offered rent money. She refused. Said, "You're not here forever." Just until you remember who you are, I thought I already had. Then the knock came. 3 days after Christmas, right after sunset. I was alone. I opened the door and nearly laughed. Mom, standing there like she hadn't thrown me out less than a week ago. Hi, she said. I didn't move. You're not supposed to know where I am. Aunt Lorraine told me, she said, like that explained everything. You shouldn't have cut us off. It's not right, I stared at her. You came all this way to say that? She looked past me into the living room. We just want to understand what happened. What you were thinking. You read the letter, I said. You know what I was thinking. But why did you write it? She asked, her voice pitching upward. Why would you offer us something so generous, then take it away? Because you told me to leave. We were upset. You meant it. She exhaled sharply. Eliza is heartbroken. Eliza is embarrassed, I corrected. That's not the same thing. I started to close the door. I don't want us to end like this, she said quickly. I paused. This isn't ending. This is you getting what you wanted. She didn't move. Then I reached into my coat pocket. I got something, I said. A letter. She squinted. From Aunt Margaret, I added. Her neighbor sent it. That shut her up. I pulled it out, carefully folded, worn at the crease. I didn't hand it to her. I read it. Aloud. Olivia, by the time this reaches you, I imagine a few people are upset. That's all right. When people don't get what they expected, they often forget what they already have. I didn't leave this to you because you tried to impress me. Quite the opposite. You were the only one who never did. You showed up with your whole self. No performance, no careful smiles. You treated me like a real person, not a stepping stone. That honesty stayed with me. This inheritance isn't a reward. It's a vote of confidence. I want you to build something that's yours, something you don't have to apologize for or shrink to fit into someone else's comfort zone. You don't owe anyone a piece of it. You never did. Use it boldly, freely, joyfully, and if people don't understand, let them wonder. With love and faith in your future, Margaret. I looked up. My mom was pale. She knew who you were, I said, even when you thought she didn't. Her mouth opened, closed. I gave her a small smile, not warm, not cruel, just done. Tell Eliza I'm not coming back. Then I closed the door, and this time, I didn't look back. 3 weeks later, I moved into a one-bedroom apartment with creaky floors and windows that stuck in the corners. But it was mine. No one else's name on the lease. No voices yelling down the hall. No footsteps outside my door that made me brace. I didn't go big. Not yet. I could have. But I wanted to take my time. To start small, and honest, and real. I bought a decent mattress. The kind you pick out for comfort, not because it was on clearance in your childhood size. My friend Ava came by and helped me hang a corkboard over the desk. I pinned one thing to it. The letter. Sometimes I reread it. Not because I need the reminder, but because it reminds me that I didn't make all this up. I really was seen, and still chosen. And that's enough to start something real. They've stopped calling. I hear through the grapevine that Eliza's rebrand flopped, Derek moved out, and my parents are keeping to themselves these days. Apparently no one wants to visit the house now. Something about the energy feeling off. I don't miss them. Not anymore. I miss who I hoped they were. But now I know better. And knowing better is the closest thing I've ever had to peace. Sometimes I still wonder if I went too far. Not the leaving, not even the silence afterward. But the letter. Was it stupid of me to write it in the first place? To believe even for a second that handing them money would make them see me differently? Or maybe it wasn't stupid. Maybe it was just the last thread of hope unraveling on paper. Either way, I tore it up. And honestly, I haven't regretted that part once. But still, what do you think? Did I do the right thing? Or was I just as naive as they said? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the story, don't forget to subscribe for more.